Hi, welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Today is a Benzema free day, all right? No mention to, well, I just mentioned it, but no mention today of carrying Benzema. None of it. Tired of him. Done with him today. Let's talk about other targets. And to be honest, today's a bit of a quiet, what I'd say a quiet transfer day. No real, sort of mega targets emerging. And that's a bit of a worry, actually. But anyway, we'll come to that later. Listen, first of all, news about Gregor's Krychak. Now, we've been linked to this guy now all week, ever since the Super Cup. We've been told that Arsenal sent scouts out to Spain to watch him when they played against, well, sorry, it wasn't in Spain, but sent scouts to watch him in the game against Sevilla versus Barcelona, which he played very well. And the Arsenal are willing to, meet his release clause at the moment, and that, his club Sevilla are in a bit of a panic because they really want to keep the powerhouse. But we're being told today there's a bit of possible setback with this, in that he picked up an injury in that game. Playing in the Super Cup final, he actually broke his rib in that game. So he's got a broken rib at the moment, which puts into real doubt anybody signing him at the moment because of that. Now, it's a lot of outlets going with that today. I personally don't think that would affect Arsenal signing him. If they really want to sign him, a broken rib should not affect it, because to me, ribs can heal up. It's not the same as, like, saying having a foot injury, a knee or something like that. It's something that will heal up. It can be very painful, and indeed his club has even said that he's returning to training. All depends on his, what he can do with what his pain threshold will be. And of course, if Arsenal did go out there and buy him, Francis Coquelin would probably be still starting at the moment anyway. So, he'd have a chance to get that injury right and start to adjust in. But there's still links flying around today linking Arsenal with him. Sevilla apparently very, very worried that, Arsenal might come in and, activate that release clause. It's very interesting. There was an article today talking about some of these release clauses that have been put in place by some of the top European clubs. Now, of course, a club like Sevilla put in a 30 million euros release clause, which works out to be about 21.5 million pounds, thinking to themselves that will scare off most teams around Europe from coming in for a player like Krychak, because 30 million euros, lots of money. But because of the value of the euro against the pound's very strong against the euro at the moment. That high price is not, that bad for a lot of Premier League clubs. And you've seen Premier League clubs like even Stoke and people like that picking up top quality players from around Europe. Certainly the English clubs have got a lot of spending power because of the low value of the euro, and also because of the big pending deal that they're going to get next year in the from the Premier from the TV companies for the Premier League. They already get loads of money as well, and they just literally can blow most of the other European teams out of the water when it comes to spending money, unless you're Arsenal, that is, because we still haven't. We've only bought Petr Cech so far. That's what I was thinking about yesterday. It's still only Cech. We still haven't bought an outfield player. We need to get busy. Linked again with another defensive midfielder today. Strange link, this one, because it's now I remember that he'd only just signed a contract the other day. He signed in a contract extension at Borussia Dortmund till 2017. But we're being told today that Juventus really, really interested in him. They want him to come in to replace Arturo Vidal. That in turn has pricked up the ears of Arsenal and Manchester United, who are both interested but thought that the deal was dead because he'd signed a contract extension. Well, Gundogan apparently available. What are these contracts? Are these contracts worth the paper they're written on? We saw earlier on this in the season with Fabian Delph signed a new contract, still ended up going to Manchester City. Could this be a similar case? I don't know. It would take a. It would. I'm not saying it's impossible to happen, but I think it would take a massive amount of money to get Gundogan, who was originally valued at around about 21, 22 million pounds. Probably that valuation would go up. That's the only way maybe Borussia Dortmund would entertain it. But Gundogan linked with a move away again. Really interesting, that one. He, a couple of years ago, was probably the best defensive midfielder in Europe before all the injuries came along. But Juventus interested in him, triggering Arsenal and Manchester United. Let's see what happens with that. A lot of German players that they were talking about, actually. Mario Götze. Götze again being linked with Arsenal today, being linked with Manchester United as well. Any link seems to always involve those two clubs because they are two clubs in need of players now, and also two clubs have got a lot of money. Götze, we know, very, very unhappy at Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich saying that they don't want to sell him, but it all depends if Götze. They're saying that Götze said that he's willing to stay. But Götze wants to be playing first-team football. 23 years of age, remember. Still very, very young. Scored the World Cup winning goal. So his reputation is absolutely massive. And he doesn't want to be sitting on the bench. Even though you're playing for a team that's very successful, you want to be part of that when you're a player like Götze, young player, young, hungry player, when you know that you can go to many other clubs. Again, as I asked the question with Draxler yesterday, another midfielder. Do we need him? I mean, even if he does become, I know Wenger keeps saying about exceptional players becoming available, and there's no doubt that he might look at these sort of players when it's coming down towards the end of the January transfer windows, and he's trying to look for a little deal or a little bargain to bring in one of those mega players. But do we need Götze? I really don't think we do. Draxler as well. Again, we spoke about him yesterday, and the possibility of Arsenal being able to sign him. Another guy whose release clause now looks pretty well. His release clause is gone, but it's gettable at a real decent price. Asked you guys yesterday what you thought of it. There's loads of you responding in the comment section of the video. Most of you seeming to say, yeah, you know what, let's go and get him. Even if we just hold on to him for a little bit, let's go and get him. It's a bargain at that sort of price. Well, the sporting director at Schalke came out yesterday and he said that, listen, he goes, we've had no further offers for Julian Draxler since the Juventus one. He goes, everybody knows that Juventus bid for Draxler. It wasn't enough money. We want more money if we're going to sell Draxler. We haven't had any more bids. Could this be a bid? I think now I'm looking at it and I'm starting to see that a lot of it is going to go down to, as Chris Hudson says, we're all going to be here on September the 1st. A lot of it looks like it might go down to that last day of the transfer window or the day before. And these are the sort of deals, people like Draxler, that maybe Arsenal might be looking to get across the line just at the last minute. But again, another midfielder. Do we need him? Unless we're going to convert him into a striker, do we really need Julian Draxler? But he is available if Arsenal really want to get him. A player that we was being linked with heavily, striker, not Benzema, not him, right? A striker. I think most Arsenal fans are going to be glad, actually, that we're not going to be ended up getting this guy, and it's Fernando Llorente. Tutto Sport reporting today that Llorente has agreed to join Sevilla and will become a Sevilla player. Listen, we were linked with him. I couldn't see how he would be able to complement our team. Too similar to Giroud. Not very quick. Most of his stuff, his best stuff is done aerially. And to me, just not the signing that Arsenal need. And 30 years of age as well, so not young. Few years ago, top player, but just not what we need at the moment. And he looks to be on his way to Sevilla. And finally, some good news. Alexis Sanchez back in training, full training, and we're being told is available to be picked in the first team this weekend for that massive game against Crystal Palace. We can't afford to lose that game. I mean, if we lose that game and we get off to the start of a season with 2 losses in a row, it'd be pretty disastrous. I mean, I think a draw, I'd take that. A draw is not the end of the world. It's not ideal because we'd like to be, everybody would love to be on 6 points, but it's going to be a very tough game. Crystal Palace at home, their first home game of the season. I mean, it's loud enough there at the best of times, but they're going to be really up for it, their fans. Their players are going to be looking to impress their fans, and it's a real pressure game for us, and they're going to know it's a real pressure game for us. And the only thing I would say with Palace is they're an attacking team. They're not your sort of defensive, frustrating type team. They're going to have a go at Arsenal, which will leave gaps for Arsenal to get in behind, to attack. And I think Arsenal definitely have a good chance of winning this game, even though Palace have made some big signings with players like Kabai, etc. But very, very important game for Arsenal this weekend. We just can't afford to lose that one. If we start getting some momentum going, it would be the sort of game that if we win that game, it will have the reverse effect, be absolutely fantastic, and then we'll be able to say, right, back on track. Because remember, next game up after that is Liverpool, then Newcastle away. So definitely need to get something out of that game. Let's get into your guys' comments and see what you guys have had to say. Christopher Powell said, it would be hard to pass up Draxler. Remember, I asked you guys about Draxler yesterday. He said it'd be hard to pass up Draxler, but I think our focus should be on a CDM. Krichak looks good and would have the bite and looks like a true enforcer. I think we need to take a chance on him. I love Coquelin, and I think the competition will only drive him to reach his full potential. Also, having 2 quality defensive midfielders will come in handy when playing the bigger teams away. And in the part of the season when we have tough Premier League fixtures at the weekend and then a Champions League game during the week. I am just hoping that we can get, it's a free day from him. We're missing that quality up top. Let's be positive in this window and support the lads. Ami Zub, on the other hand, says that Arsenal could have had Suarez, but only wanted to pay, penny pinch and got slapped in the face. And he's not convinced that Arsenal are going to sign anybody. Connor Dunmore says, I like Josh Vickers. It's sad that he's gone. He was a good goalkeeper. Of course, Josh Vickers has gone to Swansea, young youth goalkeeper, and now we're trying to find a third goalkeeper. It's a bit strange that. But yes, he's moved out. Carlos Martinez says, Draxler is very versatile, can play through the middle if needed. He's definitely worth the punt, worth the money. Aris Torres says £18 million for Draxler would probably be the steal of the season, along with Deulofeu. That's interesting because I was chatting to a Everton fan this week who wasn't convinced by Deulofeu. Let's get to a few more. Jaylon25 says we're a business model, so unless the club are done with them, we're not able to price top players away. Draxler on a cheap sounds ridiculous, almost ridiculous as our captain not being able to get into our first 11. So he's not convinced with that at all. Listen, forget the business model thing. We need to, get some of these deals done. Mohammed Osman says last season it was Khedira. This season it's. He said, listen, we ain't buying nobody. And you know what? That's starting to be a general consensus with a lot of people that they just don't feel now. They're getting very disillusioned and they're starting to feel that we're not going to get anybody. And I don't know. I still think that we will get something over the line. I really do still think that we're going to get something over the line, but it is getting very frustrating. I think a lot of that has been because of the loss last week, because let's face it, we were all really optimistic before that loss last week. We were saying, yeah, we need a couple of players, but, we weren't. But, a loss has that effect when all of a sudden you start to say, well, listen, we've got to get him, we definitely need a couple of players. And it's starting to be a bit like Arsenal as usual in the transfer window. We got off to this great start with Czech, just like last year, great start with Alexis Sanchez. Are we going to follow it up? As I said, I have no doubts. Well, maybe I shouldn't go all out and say that, but I feel that we will make a signing before transfer deadline day. It's just who that signing is going to be. Could it be? I'm hoping it is.